So what I'll do is I'll explain the spinal cord and then I'll go with the GI tract and the sympathetic and parasympathetic. I just try to be quick. Yes, I drew this, and no, I'm not an artist. So this is the spinal cord. So it has a few parts, but the one that we care a lot about is the thoracic and the lumbar and sacral part. So these are what we care about. Why don't we care about the, I don't know, anything in cervical? Because when I explain the sympathetic, they start from T1, so I don't care what happens in your neck, right? So from here all the way down, that would be your thoracic, right? So as you know, we have like a chain here, whatever is called sympathetic chain. So what happens is these, so this is just a normal scenario. Like, I don't know, let's say this one goes here, it has a preganglionic here, right? And then it's gonna go out. So let me show the postganglionic with dotted line. So that would be the post, and it's gonna go somewhere. Who cares, right? So some of them are like beautiful. They just go, the level one goes to whatever's in front of it in terms of sympathetic chain, and it would be happy. Some of them are a little bit, doing something else. They may go up or they may go down. Okay, so that's another scenario. So they're gonna go up, they're gonna have the presynaptic here, and then they're gonna have the postsynaptic. And if you're asking how come we have this sympathetic starts from T1, but we do have some sympathetic nerves, I don't know, higher up in our face. Well, the reason is some of these go up, right? So far so good. So, but the point is the preganglionic gonna synapse on the sympathetic chain, right? So far so good. So on the chain. But there is a third group that is totally different. So they have their own mind. They don't want to synapse in the sympathetic chain. They're not going to do that, right? So they are coming from T5. So they're going to pass through it, right? But they're not going to synapse here. They're not going to happen, right? So not going to happen. So what happens is, let me just make it simple. So forget about the chain now. So you're going to pass through the chain. So anything from T5, right, all the way, this is what we care about, right, to L2, right? They're going to pass the chain. They're not going to synapse. They're going to go synapse somewhere else. That's why the presynaptic is longer than the other ones, right? So, but they're going to bundle up, so in this way. So 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So 5 of them. So from 5, 5 of them, right? From 5, 5 of them. Gonna bundle up, gonna go somewhere. 10 and 11, gonna bundle up, they're gonna go somewhere else. And the 12, gonna be alone, right? So all the T's, so from T5, 5 of them, then T10 and 11, 2 of them, T12, just the last one. They're just going to have their own mind, right? These ones, they're called greater splanchnic. So you want to write down greater splanchnic. Then T10 and 11 are going to be lesser splanchnic. And the last one would be least splanchnic, right? Keep that in mind. Let's go back somewhere else in our body. So the body has something, it's called aorta. It's very cool. It has, so if we're talking about abdominal aorta, just very simple. So it has 3 holes. Well, apparently there's something coming out of the hole. So one of them is celiac. One of them is superior mesenteric artery. The other one is inferior mesenteric artery. Easy peasy so far? Okay. So these guys, the celiac, right? Cilimili, they're gonna feed the foregut, right? I'm sure you know what is foregut and midgut and hindgut. Well, no brainer. This would be midgut. This one is hindgut. right? Easy peasy. Now, this greater, well now let's walk back here. Let's walk back here. You see, this guy gonna go actually to celiac. So the presynaptic would be celiac, right? These guys, the presynaptic would be superior mesenteric artery, which is, for some reason, they decided to call it aortorenal. The reason is aortorenal is here, superior mesenteric is here, so they just could call it superior mesenteric plexus. Plex, that means a bundle of ganglion, right? A lot of ganglion. But greater, lesser, least. So greater, oh, I wrote it here, no, I didn't. Lesser, least. So least has the least number of things you can have, which is 1, right? Don't forget that. Greater starts from 5, and it has 5. So just count your fingers. Let me show your fingers. 2, 3, 4, 5. So it would be 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. See? 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, talk too much. Okay. And I erase that beautiful finger and hand, or whatever. Okay, so this guy, the least, so that one we said is aortorenal. This one gonna go to renal and then inferior mesenteric. So the lumbar gonna go, so see the two branches of lumbar, unlike the least or unlike the greater or lesser, they do not bundle up here. So they're gonna be separate, right? Lumbar. It's like they have their own mind, right? They're never gonna be together, as far as I know. That's why when you read, it's not like the greater they're gonna go to one place. It may go to 1 or it may go to 2. So that's why you have 2 names for them. That would be the intermesenteric or superior hypogastric. So lumbar would go to intermesenteric and or superior hypogastric. Okay, now let's talk about the pain. Just forget whatever we said. I mean, don't forget them, we need them. So we have a few parts. We have foregut, and we have midgut. We have the hindgut. Okay, but hindgut is a little bit tricky, so put it in 3 parts. I know the third one is debatable, but there is a reason I'm putting it this way. Actually, I'm talking about the GI tract, whatever. So foregut is easy peasy, right? So foregut, no problem. That would be the greater, right? So sympathetic, greater, right? The midgut, right? Lesser and least. Don't hate me, but that's correct. So greater is T5 to, see, I'm counting 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 5 of them, to T9. This guy is from T10, it's T10 and 11. This guy is T12. So in total, midgut would be from T10 to T12, right? So least is not giving sympathetic to hindgut. Am I confusing you or am I confusing you? Okay, remember we had 4 parts, so we had the lumbar, greater, lesser, least, but we have 3 whatever divisions for GI, right? So someone should give someone 2, you know? It's like pigeonhole problem in mathematics, right? So same story. So there should be one that has 2, and why not the midgut be that guy, right? So then we have hindgut, right? Now hindgut has its own mind, so it starts, see, let me draw the, no, that wasn't good drawing. So this is the last 1/3 of the transverse column, and this is the rest of the story, right? So it goes, so this is the last 1/3 of transverse column. This is descending. It goes, that would be sigmoid, right? So half of sigmoid, right? So this guy, just up to here, I'm talking about the pain, that'd still be sympathetic, like everything else we talked about. The pain is like these, right? So it's like sympathetic, right? But after that, so from here as it goes down, up until pectineal line. So not that. So up until here, so this guy, that would be, oh, there's a lot of colors. So that would be parasympathetic, right? And we're going to talk about that. So this one, this guy, sympathetic, and who better sympathetic than the lumbar? See, we didn't talk about lumbar at all. See, this is going to go sympathetic. So the pain in here would be lumbar, right? From the distal 1/3 of the transverse column, right? Up until the halfway the sigmoid, right? And then any verb. So this is pelvic pain line. This one is pelvic pain line. Now, from here all the way to here, right? That would be parasympathetic, right? Pelvic splanchnic. We're going to talk about it in a second. And then, so this is the pectineal line, right? After that would be somatic. So this is somatic. This is somatic. So that's just end of the anal canal, right? So that's where the hair grows and whatever. So that would be somatic. So that's the pudendal. So it's inferior rectal. So obviously it's inferior of the rectal. So the nerve is inferior rectal from pudendal nerve. So that would be inferior rectal. You love my handwriting, but and it's from pudendal, right? So, but let's just go back, talk about parasympathetic. I lied to you. We have another part in our CNS. It's called brain. I recently discovered it. It's here. This is the brain. No, okay. This is the brain. So, brain has also some contribution of parasympathetic in GI tract, and that would be the vagus nerve. So vagus is coming off of your brain. That's one of the cranial nerve. I think it's number 10, but don't quote me on that. So it's not always parasympathetic, actually, but we don't care about that. In GI, it is parasympathetic, right? As far as I know. So what it does is has the innervation of foregut and midgut, right? So the vagus is coming from your brain, not from the spinal cord, not here, no. It's coming from the brain, passes through many good stuff, even your heart. Okay, and another parasympathetic we have is the pelvic splanchnic, the one we talked about here, pelvic splanchnic, parasympathetic, right? So these guys would come, right? Also, the preganglion would go to the organ itself, right? So you're going to go to the organ, preganglion. So the postganglion would be very short, right? So postganglion is short because it's right on it. Like the pre is coming all the way to the organ, right? Now, let's go back to here. So remember, so these are sympathetic, right? Now, let's talk about parasympathetic. Foregut and midgut is innervated by vagus, right? Easy peasy. Hindgut is innervated by pelvic splanchnic. So, and it's 2, 3, 4. So parasympathetic of hindgut is pelvic splanchnic, is 2, 3, 4. But parasympathetic obviously has many tasks. A portion of it would be related to pain, right? So if I show you, let's say, this point, and I ask you what is the parasympathetic of this, it's like the spleen is here and stuff, right? So this left part of the colon, like transverse colon. So if I ask you what is the parasympathetic, it would be pelvic splanchnic, right? If I ask you whatever, who takes the pain information, it would be sympathetic, right? So even though we have parasympathetic here and anywhere else, the pain at this point, right, is lumbar, right? This is an A, I'm sure you could read it. I mean, I'm sure you could not read it, but whatever. But if I say what is pain in here, right, it would be, see, this is after the pain line, before the pectineal line, right? So it would be parasympathetic. And the parasympathetic, we said, is pelvic splanchnic. See, pelvic splanchnic. Pelvic splanchnic. Right? So let me just, I know you're going to hate me. Well, you can stop the video and go home. So just a quick summary of whatever I wanted to say about the pain in GI tract. So sympathetic. See, it has a lot of P, so most of the pain is going through sympathetic, right? So sympathetic pain. That means the greater, lesser, and least, and lumbar are in charge of pain, with the small exception that I explained here, right? That this part is still sympathetic as normal as before, right? Up until the pelvic pain line here, halfway the sigmoid column. Anywhere after that would be parasympathetic until you reach the pectineal line, which actually is an organ, as if it's outside, you know. So that would be somatic, right? So pain, anytime they ask you what is pain in GI, like, it's at your best interest just say sympathetic if you don't remember, right? Because most of it is sympathetic. Hopefully that makes sense. So I'm just talking about the last third, right? Of the distal transverse column. So we have, I'm sure you understand what I'm doing. This is actually like this, right? So pain from, I know I said it once, but who cares? Pain from here all the way here, right, would be sympathetic, right? And it would be innervated by lumbar, right? Pain from here all the way to pectineal line, right? That would be parasympathetic. So parasympathetic, pelvic splanchnic. Pain from here down, that would be somatic, right? Just quickly, somatic, that means like whatever you can touch and you know where exactly it is, that would be somatic. That's a very loose definition. That's what I know, right? So if I don't know, touch your elbow, you know where I'm touching, so that would be somatic innervation, right? But if you have, I don't know, stomachache, you cannot tell which organ it is, so that means it's not somatic, it's visceral, right? It's just related to your organ. So all the way to here, that would be visceral. Anything lower, that would be somatic, and we said that somatic would be given by so this is rectum, so inferior, so lower rectal, which is given by pudendal. I think I talked too much, but I hope you get it, at least this part.